welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. Big changes are happening at the ODWC Arcadia Conservation Area. This creek was notoriously washing out this road. It's now being fixed, and the interior roads and parking areas will soon be paved. Now at first, nice bridges and paved roads may seem contradictory for a public use area, but Arcadia Lake and this area are essentially urban use areas. So these efforts will help make the education pond, the wetland, and the nature trail more accessible to a wider variety of visitors. Now, improvements like these are made possible with money from hunting and fishing licenses and from conservation passports. A wildlife department that prioritizes making public use areas accessible to everyone. Just another reason to love Oklahoma and the adventures that await you.
In my opinion, I have just as nice a piece of property as most people do, and they're all native plants. I'm convinced there's nothing you can't plant in a native that has its opposite in some popular imported plant. This is one of the few trees in the yard that isn't native. It's a Chinese fringe tree. I do have some American fringe trees in the yard. But I planted this thing years ago before I knew any better, and now it's so beautiful I just don't have the heart to cut it down. So it stays. You know, when you move into a place like this, this was just solid trees and weeds and native plants when we cleared it to build on. And you feel a little bit guilty that, you know, you're taking area away from wildlife that had existed there for years. So part of my philosophy was we'll try to add back to it and try to maintain the wildlife and keep them here, keep them coming back. And to our right is a red horse chestnut, which is a beautiful little tree that attracts insects, butterflies, and of course birds. Hummingbirds love it as well. I started out planting native plants because I thought it was a way to easily maintain the property and attract wildlife. And that is great. But through all that, I grew almost as interested in the native plants as I did the wildlife I was trying to attract. Trees like this rusty blackhaw here, which is native to Oklahoma, great wildlife tree, attracts a lot of insects. It gets fruit on it that matures in the fall that attracts birds. Chalk maple, which is also native to Oklahoma. These understory trees are hawthorns. Great for nesting, they get berries on them. Right there behind you is a nest box with a pair of chickadees nesting in it. Have babies in there right now. This is a red buckeye, native to Oklahoma, as is that shrub there. Great hummingbird attractor, as you might imagine. And a wafer ash over here, also native to Oklahoma. It's the host plant for the giant swallowtail caterpillars. Dead ahead of us here is a basswood. They call them basswood in America, linden trees in Europe. But in about 2 weeks, this tree will just be covered with blossoms. And it really pulls the bees, insects, pollinators, and it has a great fragrance, by the way. But it's the wildlife. You know, that's what started me. Trying to give back a little bit to the wildlife that, again, when we developed this property, trying to turn it back into a little bit of a wildscape for the wildlife that was already here, and hopefully for the wildlife that was going to come. And this little area here, I tend to leave it kind of wild, not normally quite this wild, but I wanted to wait for this plant here to come up so I knew where it was. This is called wingstem, and it's a very important, very beneficial fall plant for the pollinators. Well, we have all the resident birds, the native birds, the blue jays, the cardinals, the titmice, the chickadees. migratory birds as well. We get a lot of stopovers that come. Indigo buntings come and they nest here, and Baltimore orioles come, they nest here, orchard orioles. You know, out back in the retaining walls out there, there's a lot of spaces out there for wildlife like groundhogs and foxes and, you know, deer. We get deer through here quite often. I've seen badgers out there. There's just a whole fascinating world. No, I mean, I've always been interested in photography to a certain degree, but not wildlife photography.
Every time.
Yeah, he saw us.
I became more and more interested in it because I wanted to record all these things I was seeing. It was more of a thing that I could go back and say, hey, okay, you know, I can go there now and I can look and see when the Baltimore Orioles arrived last year because I've got pictures of them when they came here. You can do that with a notebook as well. But man, there's nothing like having a photograph. And I became more knowledgeable with my photography because I studied the birds, studied their habits, learned how I might be able to track them in, to get photographs of them to start with. And both passions just kind of grew from there. I thought, how can I set up a blind here that will pull the birds in and I can shoot them without really disturbing them. The more I studied it, the more I thought, well, gosh, I've got the perfect setup right out there on the south side. If I just put some feeders out there and put some bird baths out there, I can sit right in the garage, crack the door open a little bit, take photos within 20 or 30 feet of me. They tend to come in here and be real comfortable because I'm out of sight, just like you would be in a bird blind. And it keeps me out of the weather, you know, which is a real plus for me. You know, in my opinion, what I have done here is really pretty simple. I mean, you know, I put in some trees, I put in a few shrubs, I put in a few flowers. It didn't break the bank. It wasn't, I mean, it was some work, sure, but I didn't do anything here that anybody couldn't do in their neighborhood. And can you imagine if we had whole neighborhoods full of stuff like this, the wildlife we would have, what benefit that would be to our earth, to our wildlife, to people. Wow, I can't encourage people enough to just start small. Just start with a little piece of ground here and make little islands like I've done here for the wildlife and for you.
down here at the Lower Mountain Fork River, our trout fishery below Broken Bow Lake in McCurtain County, Oklahoma. We're going out to look at some brown trout. Primarily, we'll also probably see some rainbows out there. They feed pretty good in the evening and at dusk, a little bit more active. So that's a really good time for us to go out and see them. Because it's a put-take fishery, we don't really do too many sampling activities on this stretch of river. So this gives us an opportunity to see what kind of fish we have out there, their size distribution, see what we have remaining out there in terms of the size of the fish. The clear water allows us to kind of spotlight them. We're actually just going to shine these lights out in the water, see where these fish are at, try and get some video of them. From there, we can kind of make a composite of what sizes we see, knowing whether or not we have some older fish, some potential state records out there. Right, yeah, you got him. Yeah, no, I saw a streak of red. He went right under that, didn't he?
So we see most of our brown trout up in the Spillway Creek. Typically that area gets less pressure from people, and the browns tend to be a little more elusive and reclusive. They don't like people as much. So we see a lot of brown trout up there, or in the Evening Hole area, we see them in a few spots that might be a little bit more difficult to access for people. So again, they're trying to avoid people. They're trying to keep that low profile. Whereas the rainbow trout typically are not as shy towards people. So we'll see them in easier to access areas, and they're a little bit easier to track from day to day. And the reason we're so interested in the browns is we think that helping to get the browns better established on this river, it'll provide a better angling opportunity for everybody as well.
Right there, right in here. Yeah. Are you still on?
I'm out here helping you guys out tonight, helping locate some browns at night, seeing their nocturnal patterns and activities, as well as some rainbow trout as well, just trying to get an idea of how these fish are doing on the Lower Mountain Fork and ways that we can help the river continue to thrive. There are really, really big fish in here, both rainbow and brown trout. Typically, we'll see several browns in 18 to 22 inch range, which would be in the 3 to 5, 6 pound range for brown trout. And then every year we end up catching some rainbows that are in that 20 to 24 inch range. So in that 6 to 8, 9 pound range. So yeah, the opportunity exists on this river to catch a trophy brown and rainbow trout. We're one of 2 designated year-round trout fisheries in the entire state of Oklahoma, as well as the only trout fishery in the state of Oklahoma that has successful natural reproduction of the trout in the river. So it's not just stock trout. Yes, the ODWC does a great job of stocking it, but it is a true year-round trout stream. And for people that love to vacation out west or back east, where they go and catch their favorite types of trout, they don't have to travel in upwards of 10 hours to get that mountain experience and that mountain stream experience. So the amount of anglers this brings in from all the big metropolitan areas, it really is a huge boost to the tourism industry in Oklahoma.
Saw some nice bigger rainbows, saw some brown trout. It's really just a good way to get footage of these fish for our different uses, and then kind of see what fish we have here in that river.
Well, Steve, I don't know how it's going to be today. We've been catching quite a few fish here on these shallow rocky points on these sassy shads, but we had a northern front blow through this morning and wind switched out of the northwest. And I don't know if it's gonna hurt us or not here.
Yeah. That water temperature is what's going to hurt us more than anything, going from 55 to 50 in 3 days.
Yeah, it dropped about 4 or 5 degrees on us there. Keystone there was come up about 2 foot, but the water hadn't got too murky on it at least.
No. Good shape, clarity-wise.
We might do some good. Tell you, they just seem to be scattered though. Some places you'll hit a spot, a little spot, and you might catch 7 or 8, and then you'll go down the bank and catch a few little ones, and then it's a while before you get into them again.
So you're never in the same place twice.
No. That's about the way our luck runs, though.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge, I think, today. So Sam, I think we're going to have to slow it down a little bit today, too, you know?
Yeah.
They was getting pretty active there.
And they was right on the banks Friday.
Yeah.
Of course,
A lot more shad, though, too, you know?
yeah.
Boy, these back of the ends of these coves were just stacked.
Haven't seen that many today.
Haven't seen the gulls working either. Well, that one day you just picked up some pretty good fish on the rattle trap.
Yeah.
Catching one of that 3/4 ounce rattle trap bass
Yeah.
fish.
That's back when it was warm.
Yeah. Steve, I don't know how good it's going to be today. We got a northwest front coming through. You know, this time of year, Steve, boy, it's kind of rough out here sometimes. Sometimes you seem to find them, and then other times it's like today, and it's just all gone.
Yeah.
Hit a lot of points, and usually, you know, it'll be hit and miss. You'll come up with a spot that has a few on it, but today, I tell you, it's been rough. You might as well have took the dogs out and went bird hunting this morning.
Yeah. The way it goes. They're always scattered. They're always somewhere new every time we come.
Yeah.
Got to hit them all.
Usually, when you know, we can usually come up with a spot though and catch 7 or 8, 10 good sand bass off, and then you'll hit another spot. But usually we can come up with a couple places that has fish.
Yeah.
This cold front, I think, really hurt us today.
Yeah.
This is a slug shell. Now let's see what a slug looks like. Here is a close-up of a shotgun slug. Note the rifling, which gives it greater accuracy and effectiveness. This is a shotgun shell loaded with pellets. This shell contains number 4 shot, which is ideal for waterfowl shooting, but is illegal for hunting deer. Shotgun pellets, even this size, are forbidden because they're more likely to wound a deer rather than kill it. shotgun slugs are more capable of dealing out sudden death, but at the same time they're less dangerous than rifle slugs because they don't carry as far. Slugs flatten out like this when they strike an object. So that's the reason shotgun slugs are mandatory if you hunt deer with a shotgun. And incidentally, no shotgun smaller than a 20 gauge may be used. Now let's compare the effectiveness of a bow and arrow with that of a small bore rifle with a light load. The bucket of sand is punctured with small bore rifle slugs. Then the can is turned to show that the slugs fail to make complete penetration. And now, a dull broadhead is shot into the can with a 48-pound bow. The arrow pierces the opposite side, revealing that even a dull arrow has more penetrating power than a rifle with a light load. Now a sharp arrow is shot into the bucket. It completely penetrates the can, the point extending nearly 4 inches beyond the opposite side. So that's the reason a broadhead arrow and a 40-pound bow are approved for deer hunting, while 22 rifles, 25 20s, and 32 20s are prohibited, along with steel and hard point bullets. But there's more to going hunting, especially in eastern Oklahoma, than just getting a deer. Camping out, cooking over an open fire, and brewing a pot of coffee are part of the fun. And there's nothing like the flavor of coffee made over a campfire. There's a deer like this waiting for you in Outdoor Oklahoma.
Well, we hope today's stories remind you that Oklahoma is a perfect place to explore. So however you choose to enjoy our state's incredible natural world, remember, your adventure starts with Outdoor Oklahoma. That a wrap?
Yeah, that's a wrap.
That was cool. Outdoor Oklahoma is produced by the Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation and is proud to serve and be funded entirely by sportsmen and women and outdoor enthusiasts who love and appreciate all things wild in the great state of Oklahoma.